video is going to cover a few tips on how to use non-toxic modeling compounds with your Springerle molds to make cards and ornaments. What I have here are some examples of cards that I've made using a material called Delight. It's ideal for card making because it dries very light and fairly flexible. Goes through the mail great. Yes, it's a 64-cent stamp, but it arrives in beautiful shape because the post office cancels them. The other kind of material that we use is something called paperclay. It's a little heavier, but still pretty light and very strong. I could drop this on a tile floor and it would not break. It's great because it has more weight to hang if you're going to put it on a tree or on a window or what have you to hang. Now, in front of me I have examples of the paperclay, the Delight, and something else that you're going to find very useful is a set of watercolor paints. They're pearlized. I sell them, along with a pearlizing compound that is great for giving this beautiful shimmer that you see on this card. Now, I'm going to pull these off to the side and demonstrate for you real briefly how to use each of these materials, and then I'm going to let you loose to do it because it is really a lot of fun. This is the paperclay. Unlike dough, this paperclay has to be pressed into the mold on top of the mold. You use a little bit of cornstarch. Notice that cornstarch and paperclay are both non-toxic materials. And I want to keep it non-toxic so that you can use your molds for cookie making as well with no worries. We're going to dust the cookie mold with a little bit of the cornstarch. Then we're going to press the paperclay into the surface of the mold, and you can press with your fingers to get all the indentations. When you're done, pull the clay a little bit away from the mold before you lift up the mold. And you see you've got a beautiful impression. You can use one of the ravioli cutters, and I prefer the real small one for this, to trim out the excess paperclay. And there you have it. Now if you want to turn this into an ornament, you can use a small coffee stirrer and poke a hole in here, and the stirrer will pick up the paperclay so that you have a nice hole. Now, the other kind of material that I wanted to get you familiar with is something called Delight. And here's what the package looks like. It's very, very light, almost as light as styrofoam, but it's a lot stronger than that. With this, you don't even need to use a material like cornstarch for the inside. This works beautifully just on its own. Here what I'm doing is pressing right into the mold. In this case it's a bigger heart. Then I'm going to flatten it out by pressing on the other side. Pull the material out a little bit from the mold. Then lift, and here you are. Similarly, you can trim the edges with your ravioli cutter. And there you have something that you can then paint with the pearlized watercolors. Before you begin painting with pearlized watercolors, I would recommend that you use pearlizing compound as a base so that the watercolors float on the top and don't sink in to the material. Similarly, with paperclay, you can use any kinds of acrylics. I prefer the metallics and the high gloss ones because they look very jazzy when you're putting these on a Christmas tree. So there you have it. Couple ways of using modeling compounds that are non-toxic with your Springerle molds. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll take a look at the others in the series on Springerle-Joy's introduction on how to bake with your Springerle molds as well as craft. I hope that you get some other ideas from playing around with these as well. But be sure to check our website from time to time because we're going to continue to evolve tips and tricks for how to get more mileage out of your Springerle molds. You can find us at www.springerlejoy.com. Have a great day.